Hello and welcome to another beautiful edition of Newspaper Headlines Review on Agate Television. Of course, today is indeed a beautiful edition, a special one at that. The 31st day of December year 2024, the last day in 2024. And it's so good to have you join us this morning. And then my name is Fanen Kwano. Joining me today is
Shido Taka. Good morning, Nigeria.
Oh, Shido, thank you very much for joining us. And
Right.
we also have a regular analyst, Mr. Pila.
It's my pleasure.
All right, thank you very much. So, Mr. Peter Pila, let me start with you.
Okay.
The year 2024, whole lot of activities from January to December. And then Nigerians, what we'll do is we'll go to God in Thanksgiving. Yes, that's awesome. But then someone says, count your blessings and name them one by one. How do you feel making it to the 31st day of December 2024?
I'm very, very happy and excited. I want to thank God for the gift of life. 2024 has been a year of mixed feelings. Everything has happened. We've had the good and the bad, but
and the ugly.
and the ugly. But I want to thank God, at least for those of us that have been able to see this day. We give thanks to God, and for our brothers and sisters who are departed, we pray that God will keep them. Yeah, will rest their souls very well. Generally, this one, you cannot say categorically that we are smiling. We are not. I don't think we smiled. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Peter. Shido, how many of your New Year resolutions in 2024 were you able to achieve?
well, the thing is, do you need the resolutions? Well, it's the beginning of a new year. If you can make them, then you surely should have the capacity to keep them. But in any case, it's been a long year for Nigerians. But we're looking ahead to 2025. We are hopeful. We're hopeful.
We are hopeful. This is Agate Television and the program is Newspaper Headlines Review. Remember, you can join us on our social media handles at Facebook, Agate Radio TV, YouTube, Agate Radio TV, and you can join us on www.agateradiotv.com. All right, let's start with the first paper this morning. And we're looking at the Punch newspaper. The Punch newspaper, it comes with its banner headline. Warri Refinery marketers project price drop as production resumes. Warri Refinery, that's the kicker, marketers project price drop as production resumes.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then the rider there says operators foresee stiffer competition among local refineries await Kaduna Refinery. All right, and just above the name plate, we have tax bills, PDP, others back Mohammed as presidency knocks governor. Federal government votes 53 billion naira for 103 foreign missions renovation. Tinubu should probe 436 deaths in accidental bombings, and this is coming from Amnesty International. And then we have an independent picture here where someone is signing something. All right, that's the Deputy Speaker of Oyo State House of Assembly. Okay, that's a story for them. And then insecurity, IPOB tackles Soludo, fourth governor on Kano's release. Ogun mechanic jailed 6 years for stealing customer's car. What an unfortunate one there.
Yes,
and
surely.
then Ogun, Ekiti, Oshun, others signed 2025 appropriation bills. And I think that's what the deputy speaker is signing in that independent picture. All right, but the biggest story in this newspaper now is Warri Refinery marketers project price drop as production resumes. Mr. Pila, when I saw this headline yesterday, I first saw the news yesterday, and it elated some excitement in me because I said, okay, now at least a refinery has come to join the Dangote refinery, and then we're going to have oil in excess. But then just as I was about to celebrate that, I remember that some months ago, the Port Harcourt refinery was announced to be active, and we celebrated, we clapped hands for that. And then just before, they came back to tell us that it's 80% complete and then 75% complete. It weakened me. So, what do you make of this news now that the Warri refinery is said to be in action?
To me, there is no cheering news
Okay.
until I start seeing their products flow the market. From what I read, the refinery is only 65% operational at the moment. There is no PMS. They're talking about diesel, they're talking about other products. What we consume in Nigeria in a larger percentage is the PMS. And so if we don't have prime motor spirit, you and I cannot feel the impact. The diesel is the diesel and other products are fine, but they only assist or aid the big companies, those who operate heavy machines that require diesel. For the common man on the street, we need PMS, but that's on the one hand. The issue with Nigeria's refineries, I think it's a scam. There is a very serious question to be answered. For all the years that these refineries have not been in operation, they run a full retinue of staff. Everybody is collecting salary as if everything was normal, and nobody cares to ask any question. You have a refinery that is not working, the company is not producing anything, yet these people are taking salaries on a daily basis. They are taking allowances, they are being sponsored for workshops and everything. And then all of a sudden we're told refineries have started working. How? They will tell you 75%. In another news is 65%. In another is 70%. And the product that Nigerians consume the most is not coming out. Something is hidden somewhere that they don't want us to know. That's my take. For now, it is not a cheering news to me until I start seeing their PMS.
Well, I guess he just wants to be a Thomas, because yes, we have to see it to believe it, because we say 125,000 barrels per day is our projection. But have we started seeing it? When are we going to start seeing it? Is the question on everybody's lips. Because the moment we keep buying petrol at a high price, we don't get to experience the benefits of all these refineries coming up. We'll still continue asking the questions, Fane. So we're just waiting to see that this is done.
All right, operators foresee stiffer competition among local refineries awaits Kaduna refinery.
And Fane, yes,
Okay,
that competition, that
okay.
competition part, when it begins to actually work and we begin to, see the benefits and reap the benefits, competition definitely brings some kind of relief somewhere, because when you see a lot of people doing the same thing, we are always looking forward to the fact
And
that
everyone wants to attract
customers. Yes, attract customers. You want your customers, and so you'll be forced to bring down the prices. But let it start working.
Yeah, on several occasions, Nigerians have called for the revival of these dead refineries. They should come back to life, because they believe that once the refineries are back to life, things are going to be very much better for us.
Exactly.
So let them come in any case. All right, elsewhere, or you wanted to add something to that?
What? My own problem is with the NNPC.
Okay.
Now, they are the people that give supply crude. So even if you're going to have 100 refineries, it is only NNPC that is going to give them the product, the raw material, which is the crude to refine. You remember the story with Dangote when the factory first came into operation. We heard a lot of stories. The petrol was going for 200, for 300, and like that. NNPC suddenly jumped in and said, we must be the only off-taker. It means you have a refinery, you have your own refineries, you didn't put them to use. An individual comes out to build a refinery. You now come in and say, no, nobody can buy from you except me. And you know what? Dangote could not resist, because it is NNPC that gives him crude. So if you say no, they are not going to supply crude to you. And so in as much as the refineries are coming up, I do not, what should I say, I'm a Thomas? I don't want to be a Thomas. But the point is that that's the politics involved.
Yes.
They are the ones to supply crude to you, and they are the ones who dictate the price for you. Because if they say sell at this price and you don't want to sell, it means you will be importing your crude somewhere to come and refine. And without crude, there will be no refinery in operation. That's the irony of the Nigeria's situation.
Well, that reminds me, when we were growing up, playing football on the street. You remember that sport, Brad, with the ball. So whosoever dribbles him, he picks his ball.
And the GMS.
You show your skills here to another place. You know, he doesn't care how much you know how to play, but he ensures that you play according to what he wants. If you don't do that, he takes away his ball.
Right.
And that's fine. All right. In elsewhere in faraway Rivers, Port Harcourt, Wike's camp protest as Fubara presents budget to 3-man assembly.
What is happening?
Are you asking me?
I don't understand. 3 people. And you know that is below the majority, below the the average.
The quorum.
Nothing.
Far beyond the quorum.
Far beyond it.
So
We're wondering.
You see, Nigeria is a joke.
Okay.
We're a huge joke. And it's very unfortunate that when these politicians will cause confusion and they run to judiciary, and then somehow judiciary will also have to take the blames. The issue in Port Harcourt is an unfortunate one.
Yes, it is.
That you have a whole state like Rivers. The governor is presenting his budget to only 3 members. This is far below the quorum that is required, because you have a quorum that must sit before whatever decision is taken from the assembly is or has a force of law. So when you have only 3 members, I am wondering where we have we buried our conscience? Are we really patriotic? Because you cannot tell me that in an assembly that has over 20 members, I've forgotten their number, about how many of them are not present.
And then
a governor works up, takes a budget of how much to 3 members of the state assembly, and they're happy to sit. I don't understand.
Maybe he just wants to fulfill our righteousness. Because
Mr. Pillar, you know you are. I mean, you are abreast of what is happening in Rivers State. Yeah. So, are you trying to suggest in any way that Mr. Fubara, Similai Fubara, should have just suspended the budget, or maybe governance, because of the crises that are rocking the state, and then not go ahead and present the budget?
You cannot suspend governance. But you see, the issue, particularly as it pertains the Rivers State House of Assembly, it's not something I would not want to talk so much about, because the matter is in court.
Exactly.
And that is why I don't want to comment so much on the issue, because the crisis in their State House of Assembly is before the court. Series of court judgments have been issued, orders and counter orders and like that. But the matter is still in court, and so I wouldn't want to comment so much or in depth on the issue.
That's right.
All right. So Shido.
Okay, let's move over to the Vanguard newspaper this morning. For the Vanguard newspaper, now when I saw this headline, I said I'm going to sit this one out, because this is. I think women can relate. I don't know.
Nobody is sitting out. Everybody is discussing.
Okay, so it says the secret squad. That's the banner headline. How use of erotic stimulants threaten Nigerians' health. Why men turn to enhancers, abuse and shortcut to death, NAFDAC says. And then experts raise alarm over rising use among youths. Also in the Vanguard newspaper, we also have the headline, federal government targets 3 million barrels per day crude oil benchmark in 2025. Hopeful and waiting. I know 2025 is going to be a year where we are hopeful, so we're there already. And then 2027, no deal with Atiku. Obi says Kwankwa, so we want to check that out. And then Nigerians hungry in desperate situation, says ex-Senate President Lawan. And then federal government extends operating hours for Owerri, Enugu, other airports. We also have the headline, federal government borrowings drive up money supply, 51% to 108.96 trillion naira. Injustice, Nigeria's major problem, says Akpabio. But let's go to the secret scourge, how use of erotic stimulants threaten Nigerians' health. Something about health. Let's touch on it before we leave 2024. What do you say? Mr. Bila.
Shido, someone had said something that I want to quote it, I want to say it here, paraphrase it here. The economy itself now is responsible to the underperformance in the other room of several men. You understand? Because your children cannot be crying of hunger,
Right.
school fees not paid, the landlord is disturbing you, and then you still want to actively perform in the other room. So therefore, you would have to look for alternative sources. So in my opinion, I think this is why these things, erotic stimulants, are becoming prevalent in the
yeah.
country, because people need to keep the other room also active, the night candle burning, and
with all the other
but
stress and all.
the emotional attachment to that. Your emotions have to be right
Right.
for you to perform, and then people are undergoing a lot of economic stress and whole lot of that. But in any case, that's on the lighter note. In
Yes.
any case, NAFDAC is
The warning, yes. So
about
Mr.
the
Pillar
potential.
would like to also touch on that before we move to other matters
You
this
see,
morning.
my problem
Yes.
has always been with NAFDAC. Why do you warn? You have the stick. You are a regulatory agency. Something that is touching on our health. Something that is killing people. You are warning. You are warning. Just take a walk on on the streets of any town in Nigeria today. You find hawkers, more than 20 of them, and at least if you find 20 hawkers, at least 18 of them are advertising sex enhancing products openly. They do it openly.
Kayamata.
Kayamata. They do it openly, and this thing is being on the increase because they are getting good patronage. NAFDAC is only warning. When are they going to come into action? This thing is killing people because you see, erections start from the heart. It is the blood, the level at which your heart pumps blood, that you're going to have erection. And so when you take enhancers, what they do is that they go to increase your heartbeat, which is against your health. You find young men taking these things. By the time some are even that I want to call on NAFDAC to stop warning, they should go into action. Clamp down on these people. I always wonder, why is it that everybody is selling sex? These small public address systems, they are carrying it on their head, some on their shoulders, and you go to Urugu Market this morning, you all over the place, to high level, all over the state, all over Nigeria. And so it is a very dangerous trend. And I wish that, now the other day we talked about NAFDAC, and I said something. NAFDAC is understaffed. NAFDAC needs manpower, because I don't think they have up to 50 staff in Benue. I don't think. They may be less than 20. So how do you go about these things? They need funding, they need manpower
to do the job.
Let federal government increase the number of staff in NAFDAC so that they can go around and do these things. It is very dangerous to health.
Okay, so let's move to this one that says Nigerians hungry in desperate situation, says Senate President Lawan. And of course, we have already said, well, the last time I was saying it has been a tough year. It's relative, they said, but it has been what a year 2024. And of course, we're still talking about the situation that Nigerians have found themselves in. Why so, Mr. Pillar?
It's the reason is very simple. The economic policy of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the cause of every rise in price, whether finished or unfinished products. But they said we should be patient, that the reforms are hard, but there's going to be light at the end of the tunnel. And that's what all of us are hoping. Because if you look at it, the removal of fuel subsidy on 29th May 2023 was the cause of the rise. And up till now, we're looking forward to see some of the benefits. Of course, we have seen a lot of things come, palliatives coming, but how many people do those palliatives get to? I think that whatever it is that they want to do, it has to be fast, so that every Nigerian
will begin
to feel the impact, and not just read on the pages of the newspaper.
All right. Still on newspaper review this morning on Agate Television. I want Fanet to, come in, waiting on the situation in Nigeria, but then I've got to talk that we have to, go on break, and then We'll be back shortly. Don't go away.
Keep watching Agate Television.
Keep watching Agate Televisions.
Big shout out to Agate Television, Sky's Your Limit.
Keep watching Agate Television.
Keep watching Agate Television, one of the best in the whole city of Makurdi. Peace.
Hello, my people. Keep watching Agate Television. Watch out for more.
Agate Television, we love you.
Better shout out to Agate Television.
Agate Television, you're the best. Shout out, peace.
Shout out to Agate Television. I love you. You're the best.
Best channel, all the fun, the live shows, the best of the best you can get.
Agate TV, one of the best rising televisions in North Central Nigeria, which everybody should actually look out for.
You're welcome back. You're still watching Agate Television. The program is Newspaper Headlines Review. And just before we took that break, we were looking at the Vanguard newspaper, talking about how Nigerians are hungry and in desperate situation. All right. And up next, what's
Okay, so we have injustice, Nigeria's major problem. Okay, so earlier, Mr. Pillar was talking about the fact that we have, when we talk about some of the issues that we face in Nigeria, we cannot exclude the courts from it. And then when I saw this headline, my mind just went there.
Injustice.
Yes.
And I was looking at the person that said this. This is the number one lawmaker talking about Senator Godswill Akpabio. So, and then one begins to wonder if Senator Akpabio is the one raising concerns about injustice. Instead of moving towards addressing the issue, then it's something that is worth talking about. And recently, I've seen a trend that rose in 2024. Defamation. And I'm not a lawyer, but I have been reading some materials, and I learned that defamation is a civil offense, in the Constitution. It's not criminal. And then lately we have individuals being arrested by the police, tortured, detained for defamation, and a whole lot of that. So the trend continues like that. And when I saw that yesterday, I was saying this is how it starts, and nobody comes out to control it until it becomes a menace. So the truth is, they used to tell us when we were growing up, they used to say the judiciary is the last hope of the common man.
Right.
But the way things are going now, it's quite afraid. It sees some certain group of people above the law, or the law respects them, or the blind law also opens one eye to look at them. I don't really understand. But the issue of injustice is really, really, really prevalent, like the Senate President himself pointed out. And then we must take these things, we must be deliberate, we must be intentional about addressing these things. And it should begin with the lawmakers. Thank God Akpabio noticed it, so they should move towards strengthen the legislations that are there to give equality to Nigerians in terms of justice dispensation and all that. There are people sleeping in correctional centers, for offenses they didn't commit and all of that.
I saw a story yesterday of someone who has been in jail for years for stealing a chicken.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yes, theft is bad, but for stealing a chicken, what happened?
No, in his own case, he may have even committed the crime. But there are people that did not commit no crime. But then, because of trial issues, elongated trials, they are still in custody because they did not, for offenses they did not commit.
Let's allow
and
Mr.
at the end of the day, they are not even compensated. You know, they are just left to go like that.
Let's allow Mr. Pillar to come in
You
here.
see, Fanon, the issue of injustice in Nigeria is hydra-headed. Number one, we have courts that are manned by, I don't want to say certain things, but you see, number one, you may initiate a legal action in the court. You institute an action in court today, you don't know when it is going to end. You have matters that have stayed in court for 20 years. At the end of the day, why are you going to, you initiate and institute an action in court today, you push this matter until you die. Your successors take over. They pursue until sometimes they die. You find issues that emanated in 2000, they are still in court. They have not been decided. You go to Supreme Court today, dates have been taken up to 2026. That's how bad it is. And so it is very, very terrible. Very, very terrible. That's on the one hand. No, and that's number one. Number two, you find courts of coordinate jurisdiction giving conflicting judgments. Court number, both, I mean, when we say coordinate jurisdictions, they have equal decision. You find court A giving a certain decision on the same matter, another court elsewhere is giving a different one on the same matter, a third one is giving a different decision. These are very serious issues that the Chief Justice of Nigeria we need to look into. How do you harmonize this? Because people do forum shopping. Somebody, because they say Federal High Court is the same. You have a matter in Makurdi, they go to file in Abuja. Another goes to file somewhere in Enugu or elsewhere. And they all these judgments, everybody wants to enforce. That's number one. Number two, the recruitment of judges, the appointment of judges is done by the politician. This is a fact that we cannot shy away from. And the Constitution gives either the president or the governor of a state, via the recommendation of the NJC, to appoint whoever that is. They say, if for, like, take for instance for federal high courts and state high courts, they say if you have qualified, if you have been called to bar 10 years, it does not stipulate whether you will be in practice or not. So once I am 10 years at the bar, I am qualified to be a high court judge. Wherever I am, whether I was in practice or not, you are called to come and sit on the bench and you are sworn in as a high court judge. It becomes an issue, sometimes even with appreciating the law. And so it is also on record that, you know, when somebody appoints you, there is a presumption of a judicial hunch. And so allegations of bribery and corruption amongst the judiciary is also something we must not just dismiss with a wave of a hand, because there are several instances where judges' residences have been ransacked and then evidence have been found on them, incriminating evidence have been found on them. And so these things needs to be looked into. Number one, my suggestion will be that let the appointment be strengthened. If you say someone who has qualified to practice law in Nigeria for 10 years, let that man be in practice. It should be stated in the Constitution that before you are appointed a judge, it must be established that you've been in practice throughout this period, so that you are conversant with the law, with the current position of the law. That's number one. Number two, if they are not going to unbundle the Supreme Court, let them increase the number of judges. The Constitution gives the number of judges, the full court, I think 21 judges. But we have always had issues, having or even up to 15. You hardly get 15 judges at the Supreme Court. If we have full judges at the Supreme Court, I think that there will be speedy dispensation. There will be speedy dispensation, or unbundle the Supreme Court. You can have a Supreme Court in the north, and then another one in the southwest, in the southeast, and the one in Abuja will cover north central. I think something like that will be better. We speed up this thing. Then the last one is a remuneration of judges. If you go to our courts, our judges are still using their hand to write. Whereas elsewhere, technology has come in. You don't recall. So this thing, all this thing combined to slow down
the
the process.
Yeah.
And so if judges are giving good ICT
Remuneration, okay.
then number two, if they are giving remuneration, their salary is nothing to talk about. Increase their remuneration, pay them very well, so that they will have no reason to look elsewhere. Because the life of a judge is such.
To that, we're also advocating that the judiciary should be independent indeed, such that they are not being broadcast for, they are not even built accommodations and all of that. So a budget should be provided for the judiciary to handle some of these things by themselves. If they need vehicles, they should buy. If they need houses, they should build. And people should not be doing these things for them, so that at the end of the day, they are somehow indebted to them. All right, with that, we move to the next newspaper, which is the Daily Trust, and it comes with a banner headline: 2025 budget, 20 MDAs to spend 14.3 billion naira on computers. Justice Ministry trips vehicles to GOP 2 billion naira. Experts, CSO asks National Assembly to scrutinize proposals. That's the biggest story there.
Definitely.
And then tariff hike or service disruptions, telecom operators vow currency in circulation hits 4.8 trillion amidst cash squeeze. And then 2024 malnutrition, epidemics, malaria, vaccinations shaped health sector. All right, so about the story we're talking about is the banner headline: 2025 20 MDAs to spend 14.3 billion naira on computers, acquiring new ones, and of course maintaining the existing ones. And
you see, Fanny, the level of criminality in Nigeria is shameful.
Okay.
You see this budget proposal, it will come next year. I don't know whether there are rodents that eat up those computers. Each year they are both. Because they keep coming every year. Next year, you are going to have budget for procurement of computers in the same offices that were bought last year. What happened to the ones that were bought last year? I understand at least a computer should be able to stay up to at least 5-10 years, even up to 10 years, even more. Even if you are going to change to new versions, it shouldn't be yearly now. So every year, you have budget for computers, budget for stencils, budget for vehicles that were bought last year. You are having the same budget. These people are taking these monies to their pockets, and nobody's talking about it. The National Assembly, who sits over these budgets, know that last year we appropriated certain amount of money for computers. This year, the same proposal is coming before them, yet nobody will ask questions. And that's why I commend the young man who is a rep member from Kaduna. I think he's the son of the immediate past governor of Kaduna State. He raised a very fundamental issue on the floor of the House, that they cannot keep appropriating monies for computer every year. I don't know. Do they really scrutinize those budgets?
Mr. Pillar has said it all. But of course, the good one is, like he said, let's scrutinize, right? And then the experts and the civil society organizations are coming out to ask the National Assembly, scrutinize this one. I think if we start talking, things will start changing. If we start, beaming our searchlight on some of these areas, maybe, just maybe, things will start changing.
And then just before we move on, Nigerians should also imbibe maintenance culture, very importantly, because most times these things are acquired, they are not well maintained, they are not properly accounted for. Okay. Some remain in the stores until
it's not even Nigerians. It is a civil servant who is looking after those things. Okay. He doesn't want to take care of them because let them so that if they get spoiled, he will present another budget next year. And so they are the ones responsible for maintaining those facilities when they are acquired.
All right, we're totally running out of time, Shido. Let's see what's the next paper. I think we should take sports and
so we could
try to run off. Yes.
Okay, so let's take a look at what sports is saying today. We have the Punch Sports Extra Man of the Year. We're still talking about Lookman. Sports Extra,
beautifully adorned in this green agbada,
we'll not
critical of a Nigerian.
Exactly. And then it says Man of the Year, Sports Extra readers vote Lookman 2024 Sportsman. Well, he has that as well. And then Ndidi targets January return. We also have this one, United intensify Osimhen
Osimhen
chase. And then Barca strike £100 million deal to register Omo. You want to check these headlines. And then 2026 World Cup ticket achievable, says Gusau. Mr. Pillar, do you think we're about to?
You see, Nigerians lack patriotism. You find the...
Just 30 seconds.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. I will comment on... let me first start with the United because I have
Yes.
a bias this in there. You know, United is sinking. They need a striker that can disturb the defense. That Osimhen move is a very good one, and they must not allow it to pass them by, because even yesterday we lost 2-0 to a club that shouldn't have trusted us in that manner. And so if United is serious, that Osimhen deal must be concluded during the window. As for Lookman, I think he deserves every honor he has gotten. He has really worked for it, and I'm happy that he's getting all the
Accolades, yes.
accolades.
Well, that will be all for today's edition of Newspaper Headlines Review. Thank you very much, Mr. Peter Pillar, for your exciting contributions on the program.
Thank you. It's my
Alright.
pleasure.
My co-host, Shido Taka.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here, and let's look forward to 2025. Hopeful, that's the word today.
A beautiful 2025. And my name is Fanen Kwano. Thank you all for watching, and remember to celebrate responsibly.
Right.
All right, John. Funny.